Train the muscles, not the joints.
So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about not mimicking somebody that you see results in as much as following maybe the principle itself, right? Because like I said, my videos are all about the individuality that is you, and so it only makes sense that you can't just copy somebody exactly and get the exact same result. But the thing is, you can do is you can find out where the genius is in your own body and find out what that range of motion is. So follow the feeling. I made a video on this. Follow the feeling, not the technique. So a technique might give you an idea how to find yourself into the feeling, but if you blindly just follow a technique, a lot of times you might get lost and say, geez, you know, this doesn't feel the same for me. If you're built totally different than another person, obviously a certain range of motion or a certain technique might not work the same way for you. So this is a really important principle, and this is something that I embraced early on in my bodybuilding career. And it was something that I was lucky enough to figure out on my own, but I also didn't have all this social media noise back in the day. I was forced to find out on my own in the gym. Maybe I read a bodybuilding magazine here and there, but at the same time, it was almost like you were forced to kind of find your way. So find your way, you know? And so today I was doing squats, some heavy squats in the garage, and I was, you know, working around with the range of motion and stuff. And of course, there's a certain range of motion where you find that you start to feel the lower back more than the legs. And then there's a certain sweet spot in that range of motion where you feel nothing but leg, right? And if you're doing squats to build legs, obviously you want to stay in that range of motion where you hit failure with your quads and your hams and maybe your butt, you know? But once you start to notice that your lower back becomes the weak link, maybe that's good for your sport if you were forced to go in a certain range of motion, but at the same time, maybe you can do deadlifts for lower back then, and you know, keep your leg workouts as the leg workouts and keep your back workouts as the back workouts. But I find a lot of people, they unconsciously train. They do a movement, but they do the movement to hit everything all at once. It's like they're trying to basically be an expert at everything all at once. They're trying to hit their biceps basically from doing squats. So the thing is, you want to be a specialist. You want to use an exercise in the most efficient way that it can be used in order to produce a result. And that's what I do with my squats. That's what I do with my leg training. You don't see me doing extended lockouts and ranges of motion or going super, super deep, because I find that I start to recruit other muscles altogether when I start doing that. I start to recruit a whole other type of system, and that's not the place where I want the results. I want the results in the muscles I want to train. Now that's enough about that. Now let's go get a coffee. I'm going to go to Agassiz here. I'm going to show you some footage of some of the place here. It's really sunny, so I'm going to show you some footage of me driving around, and then I'll get back on the subject. Okay guys, get away from the car. Can't have the cats in front of the car. Flat cat. So my point is, you have to find the right technique for you. So I want you to take every exercise, and instead of trying to do it exactly the way I do it, I want you to take the weight and slowly lower it and just see where you feel the resistance. At certain points in the motion, you will feel the resistance on one muscle group, and then you'll see that it slowly starts to transfer to another muscle group, and then you'll notice that it transfers to the insertions and stuff in the joint itself when you come down low enough. And getting this awareness, this awareness is really the secret. It isn't about carbon copying a technique from one person to the next. It's more about trying to find the technique that works perfectly for you. Now, when you're training chest, obviously you want the tension to be on the chest, and you want to make sure that the chest is hitting failure, and that's why the exercise stops. That's why the set stops. You hit failure in that muscle group. Same thing with legs, same things with shoulders, and same thing with triceps or arms. Anything that you're training, you want that to hit failure. And if something different than that is hitting failure during your exercise, then you're not going to be getting the best result from that exercise, okay? So if you're doing bench presses and your triceps are given out long before your chest does, it only stands to reason that your triceps are going to get stimulated, but your chest is not going to get stimulated, and then you're going to have an unbalanced physique. You're going to get on stage and you're going to have no chest, and you're going to have nothing but triceps, and your triceps are going to be great, but you're still not going to win, right? So that's the thing. You want to find that range of motion and that grip and that position where you hit the tension on that area. Even if it looks stupid to somebody else, it might be genius for you. That's the thing to remember. You know, this whole thing where people are like, oh, you got to look like me when you train and all this kind of stuff. This is stupidity, because sometimes you might find that secret weapon, you know, that secret technique that actually allows you to get more development than they do. And yeah, just because they're not doing it doesn't mean it isn't the best thing for you. All right, so back to the subject at hand. Really what I'm trying to tell you, and I've already said it a few times, is that you need to think for yourself. You can't just do something blindly just because somebody else tells you to do it. How's it going? Here's the thing, when you basically have you know, a technique, or you try a technique or a method, you want to really say to yourself, or really investigate, is that method right for you? Is that really working for you? And I find a lot of people don't do this. They just do something blindly because somebody said it, but they don't actually feel their way into the wisdom of how should it work? How should it feel? What is really happening in the muscle at that time? You know, you really got to use this stuff as a meditation. You cannot just blindly do stuff. And yeah, you'll notice some pretty interesting surprises if you actually open your mind to discovery. So I hope this helps you out with your training. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters here. And if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturallandbodybuilding.com, and take care for now.